Alright, welcome back guys. So picking back up where we left off in part 1, we're still on number 11. So what I was saying was it says find the perimeter, and that perimeter is all the sides added together. So it says that the length is 2x plus minus 7, so that's going to be 2x minus 7 and 2x minus 7. And the width is 6x plus 3, so that's going to be these two on this side. Now remember, it goes all the way around, so we need to add all of those together. So to find the perimeter, we're going to say 6x plus 3 plus, well, we got another 6x plus 3 plus 2x minus 7. And we've got two of those. So that would be plus another 2x minus 7. So just add together our x's and add together our numbers. So we've got 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 plus 2 is going to be 16. So that's 16x. And then we've got 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 minus 7 is negative 1. And negative 1 minus 7 would be negative 8. So for our answer, we would have 6x minus 8 as the perimeter. For the area, we're going to multiply. Remember, area is equal to length times width. So we're going to multiply the length, which says 2x minus 7, and then width, which is going to be 6x plus 3. So this is just a multiplication problem, two binomials. So you could use the box strategy here, or you could use distributive method. So here we would have, pick either one, it doesn't really matter, 2x minus 7 on top, and then 6x plus 3 on the side. So 6x times 2x is going to be 12x squared. 3x times 2x is going to be 6x. 6x times negative 7 is going to be negative 42x, big number there. And then 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. So now we just need to combine our two middle terms here. So we've got a 12x squared, so this is going to be the area. So it's going to be a 12x squared. Then we got 6 plus negative 42. Now that's a good number to add there. So we're going to take and subtract those two and keep the sign of the bigger number, which is negative. So that would be 42 minus 6, which is going to be 36, right? So we got 36. So 36x is going to be that middle number, and then we've got the negative 21 that goes on the end, which will finish out the area of our problem. So a really simple question there. All right. Moving on to number 12, we got simplify the following expression. Now here we need to break these down again. Now we know that the square root of 3 won't break down, so it's good to go. So we've got negative 2 on the square root of 3, won't break down. But 27 will. 27 breaks down into 9 and 3, circle your 3. 9 breaks down into 3 and 3, so you've got a pair of 3's there. So that's going to be 3, 3, and 3, with a pair of 3's and a 3 on the inside. So a pair of 3's would go on the outside, and if you notice, we already had a 3 on the outside. So that 3 times this 3 is going to make it a positive 9. And then on the inside, we're going to have that leftover 3. And then we can finish the problem by adding those together since they're both like radicals. Both of these radicals are the same. So negative 2 plus 9, we just add those two things together, or you can subtract it, 9 minus 2. But when you add those two together or subtract them, you're going to get 7 on the square root of 3. And that'll be a final answer. For part B, same concept. The 2 on the square root of 6 will not break down, so that's 2 on the square root of 6. But we do have a 54 that'll break down. So 54 breaks down into 9 and 6. 6 breaks down into 3 and 2. 3. And then 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. So we've got a 3, a 3, a 3, and a 2. So a pair of 3's and then a 3 by itself and a 2 by itself, which we can multiply back together. So over here on this side, we're going to have, we got a 3, a pair of 3's, so that means we got a 3. And then remember, we had this 3 on the outside. So 3 times 3 is going to be 9. And then we have the 3 and the 2 left over on the inside of the radical, so 3 times 2 would be 6. So now we can add these two together. 9 plus 2, that's simple. 9 plus 2 is 11. So we got 11 on the square root of 6 as the final answer. All right, on to question number 13. It says, how many terms are in the simplified? That's going to be key tomorrow. I think people are going to miss this one because they don't simplify. So what you got to do is you got to look to see if there's anything you can combine. we've got an x to the fourth power and no other fourth power, so that's how we simplify it down. It's x to the fourth. Here we've got an x to the third, no other x's to the third, so that's going to stay negative 22 to x to the third power. Here we have a 14x squared and a negative 10x squared. We can combine those. So 14 minus 10, we know that's going to be a right whole 4. And that's 4x squared. So we combine them. So those two things go together now. Then we have a 3x, nothing to combine with a 3x, so it stays 3x. And then same thing with 7, nothing to combine with 7, so it stays separate. So here we have 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, and 5 terms. So here the correct answer would be A. So make sure you've got to simplify. If you can simplify, and you will be able to simplify on tomorrow's test. Number 14, the width of a rectangle is 10 units less than its length x. So that means that we've got this nice little rectangle, okay? And it says that we have a width or a length of x. So the width is going to be 10 units less than that. So less than means to subtract. So we're going to have x minus 10. So the expression would look like that. Number 15, convert 12 fluid ounces per minute to gallons per hour. This is a good old-fashioned conversion problem. We've already worked one of these. I'm going to bump over here to the side. So we've got 12, and I'm going to put ounces instead of fluid ounces just to save me some time writing. So 12 fluid ounces per divide 1 minute. So we've got to change this to gallons on top and hours on bottom. So we'll start with the gallons. So to change ounces to gallons, we put ounces on bottom, and it told us 1 gallon is equal to 128 fluid ounces. So ounces can go to gallons. So for ounces, we've got 128. For gallons, we have 1. Ounces will go away. So now we got the gallons on top. We just got to change minutes to hours. So if we have minutes on bottom, we do opposite, put it on top. Minutes goes to hours. So 1 hour is equal to how many minutes? You got it, 60 minutes. So minutes go away, and now we have hours on bottom. So all that's left to do here to finish the problem out is a little calculation. I'm going to pause the video and do my calculations, and I'll come back in a second. Oh man, that was some fast math. I did it all in a second. So here, same concept as earlier. We multiplied the 12 times the 1 times the 60 in a calculator and got 720. On top, we got 1 times 128 times 1, and that's easy. That's 128. So then we divided the 2, 720 divided by 128, and we come up with a final answer of 5.625 gallons per hour. So that was an easy conversion for us. All right, let's try another one. Number 16, it says convert 50 miles, and that's per 1 hour. And we're changing this into, it says feet per second. So we got some conversions here to do. So let's start with the miles. Let's get it taken care of. So the miles, we know is going to change to feet. And it says the conversion right here. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Make sure you know that for tomorrow. So that takes care of the miles, and we got feet on top. Now let's get the seconds. So hours on bottom, we want to put hours on top. We can't go to seconds, so let's go to minutes. All right, so 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. That takes care of the hours. Now we're in the minutes. So to get the minutes to change, we got to go from minutes on top, to seconds. And we know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So there goes my minutes, and now I'm in seconds. So now all I need to do is come up with my number on the end using a calculator. So I'm going to pause the video. Once again, it'll take a second, and I'll be back. Welcome back. So on top here, we did the same thing as earlier. We multiplied these numbers together, and when we multiplied them together, we got that number, 264,000. On bottom, we had 1 times 60 times 60, and we came up with the number of 3,600. So when we divide those two numbers, we're going to end up with a final answer of 73.3 repeating feet per second. So a very easy question. Let's move on to the last 4 questions. All right, so last 4 questions. We're on fire, so we're going to do a little bit of red on this one, okay? All right, so number 17, it says identify the coefficient. So the coefficient, this is a definition. It is the number in front of the variable. The variable is the letters. The constant is going to be the number by itself, and then anything else is known as a term. And then we're going to identify independent and dependent. Now, we'll start with P. So P, that's going to be a letter, so that is a variable. So make sure you write down variable. Next, we have 3. 3 is the number in front of the variable, which is going to be a coefficient. Next, we have the number, or the letter x. X is, once again, a letter, so that's going to be a variable. Next, we have the number 7. 7 is by itself, so it is a constant. And then last thing we have is 3x. Now that's together, so we want to make sure we identify that as a term. All right, remember, independent is going to be the input variable, the number, or the variable you would put a number in for it. The dependent variable is going to be the output, also known as the result. Okay, so where your result would be. So in this problem, we know that P is over here as the answer, so that would be the result. So the dependent variable would be P. That's a weird looking P. There we go. So P, and then the input would be the number that we would substitute in to solve this equation. So that would be where the x is located. So the independent variable would be x. Number 18, same concept, same exact type problem. We just want to work it out. So E is going to be a variable. Same concept here. 3,000 is going to be a number in front of a variable, which is a coefficient. I'll just end up being the exact same thing as the other side. P is going to be a variable, because it's a letter. Negative 50 is a number by itself, which is known as a constant. This is working out perfect. And then we have 3,000p, which obviously would be a term. Now, independent and dependent. Once again, remember, input and output. So here the input, what we would substitute in, would be for P. And then what we would get out of it, or the result, would be E, the output. Last two questions. To rent a kayak, River Dog. That's a pretty cool place downtown, isn't it? We can go down, get one of those paddle boards and paddle down the creek, right? So down there at River Dog, they'll rent those to you, and they charge a deposit plus an hourly rate. That just told me what these two things mean. So you have an expression, 6t plus 100. And it says, what does the 100 represent? And what does the 6 represent? Okay, that's the question. And it tells us that when you are using a kayak for t hours. So all we're going to do here is identify each one. Now, if I hear the word hourly rate, I'm going to represent that probably with the t hours. So that tells me that the 6 is going to be representing. So 6 is going to be the hourly rate. Hourly rate. And then we know that the 100, that's just a one-time charge. That's why it's only written one time and has no variables beside it. So that one-time charge is what we would call the deposit. And that's a one-time fee, deposit. Okay? So easy on that question. And then the last one, number 20. Ooh, these are true and false. These are going to test me. Let's see. The product of two rational numbers is rational. Anytime you have a rational times a rational, that's going to be rational. So that is true. All right? So the first one's true. The sum of two rationals. So a rational sum is plus. So rational plus rational. It says is rational. That is also true. Then it says the sum of a rational number and an irrational. So the sum would be rational plus irrational is irrational. Ooh, that's interesting. That's true, right? Yeah, of course that's true. And then the last one, the product of two irrational numbers is irrational. So irrational times irrational is equal to irrational? I don't think so. Wrong. That is false. We know that this is actually going to be an irrational times irrational is equal to both, right? Because I told you earlier, we've got just a couple more minutes here, I told you earlier yesterday that if you had, say, two irrational numbers, the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, those are both irrational, then the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 would be the square root of 9, which yields a 3. And 3 is a rational number. But if you had something like the square root of 3 times the square root of 2, that would actually be the square root of 6. Two irrational numbers times the square root of 6. And square root of 6 you can't take the square root of, so that's irrational. So this example, this one is a very good key and be helpful tomorrow because you need to know that it will give you both answers. All right, guys, that's it. That's all you have. We got a couple more seconds. So listen, you guys are super smart. I'm not worried about you doing well on this test tomorrow. It's all about what you put in. If what you put into this is what you get out of it. So take your time, study this. If you need to rewatch it, rewatch it. If you have questions, email me. Do not mess up on this test. The only way you mess up is you don't try. I'm going to post them. They're already posted if you're watching them. So this is a great opportunity for you to be successful. So come in tomorrow, kick butt on this, make sure you do the best you can, make 100, and let's make me proud. All right? I know you've been putting in the hard work, so just show off what you got, okay? All right. Good luck tomorrow, guys. See you tomorrow.